That's actually working. Okay. All right, we're gonna roll with it. Let's start this. Okay, so that's going. Uh go live. What go. That was me. Give me a second. Okay. Go live here. Start. All right. Got that going. Let me see if I can get one more going and then we'll be gone. It's long. Of course, it's got to start up. Must not be meant to be. All right. So, Islam, Islam, Islam. We are here. We are here. We are here for 30 minutes more or less. I am. Well, let me see if I can get that going. Pardon and war. I'm just trying to get some stuff set up. I decided to take a chance. Maybe I should end this. No, I'm gonna keep going. I decided to take a chance and hop on YouTube live and let's see if I can like. Okay, this is not working. Or is it? Can I get on it? Nope. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep going. All right, like I said, Islam, 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 Ism. We are here. We are here. We are here for 30 minutes more or less. Happy holy day to all Moors and Muslims all over the world. I am Sister Tahita S. Najiola L of CalifaMedia.com, mrcicharities.org and com, riseofthemoors.org and com, and certifiedmoorish.org and com. And I am here as I am have been here for the last few Fridays to share with the Moors what I got going on in my world that's of all things Moorish, right? Do not part-time this. So you all can know, what I got going on. So maybe you can do likewise or do something better or contribute to what's going on already or let us know what you're doing so we can contribute to you, right? So yeah, like I said, yeah, come on here every Friday with my notes because why? I respect your time and I just go through what I've noticed going on in the world, watching the news or watching the news, listening to the radio and watching the news and listening to the radio. And yeah, reporting back to the Moors what I found. And Moors are starting to share with me what they find, which is making this a lot easier and a lot faster. So I appreciate you Moors who do that. All right. So Islam to Moors on Instagram and on YouTube. We're gonna see if we can work smarter, not harder, by just go ahead and filming this thing live instead of uploading it later. Hopefully my signal holds out. All right, so this week, okay, the stories I would like to cover, the news stories, the summarized titles that I came up with are Freedmen Still Denied, okay, or Still Denied, all right, Cry Me a Rio, Barack Get Bach, Treason for Thee, but Not for Me, all right, but before I get to all of that, Islam again to all those who are here and all those who will see these later. First, a little business and housekeeping. New book. If you haven't seen it, I have a new, Califa Media has a new book coming out. I have been sharing with Moors how I have run my publishing business for the last 10 years and not having to report to or give a portion of my earnings to the colonial occupying powers. And now that's coming. It is a toolkit that you can get at certifiedmoorish.org or califamedia.com. And that's the toolkit that basically it's all the paperwork that I use to set up my business if you want to set up your business. Happy holy day to you too. So Morris kept coming back with questions, right? Which is fine. And that made me realize, you know what? I keep hearing the same questions and then I keep hearing different questions. I wonder if other Moors have these questions. And I wonder if that's why they're hesitating. Of course, now the cat's got the zoomies. Why they're hesitating engaging in business. Because I don't know if you've noticed, the American experiment has failed. All right. And it's quickly dissolving and crashing right before our eyes. I swear it's like watching the Titanic go down in slow motion. It really is. Right. So Moors need to be setting up their businesses if for no other reason to secure your interest and your legacy. So your people don't have to be suffering with these other folks who like, well, what we gonna do now, that the Moors got their stuff back. But I guess they really don't have to worry about that because the Moors aren't organizing themselves in any apparent obvious way, like setting up business. There are some, Now, I'm not saying none. I'm like, there are some, but there are obviously, of course, not enough. So there's a book coming out that addresses that if you want to know more about how to set up your business as a Moorish American national. Okay. New service, legal digestion. I'm in the process of putting together a lawsuit against these folks, right? And it's a federal lawsuit. I do not do state stuff. I cannot help you if something's going on with your business because businesses, corporations, they have to be represented by an attorney, which is why when I found that out, I'm like, yeah, let me see how can I go in and represent my business interests, right? Not necessarily a corporation, but my business interests without using an attorney. I can set it, move everything from the Inc. to a trust, and then I can go in and represent the trust. It's really cool, and that'll be coming out later. But for now, like I said, I'm suing some folks. If you got something going on the federal level, which I suggest starting there because usually it ends up there anyway, hit me up at califamedia.com, contact us, or go to the shop if you know what you need. I can help you write it up. Help you, because this is legal digestion. I am not a licensed attorney, right? Even though there's no such thing as an attorney's license. It's a membership card, right? But I don't feel like fighting with these folks. Last thing for the announcements, Tuesday chamber chats. Don't forget, every Tuesday I come on here looking for Moors to poach from the colonial plantation known as the United States of America. So you could be tax-free and keep, once you pay your expenses, you get to keep everything else. Does that sound good? That's what I'm trying to find, right? Because I have my stuff set up. I work by myself and I set up other companies to do other things for me because I can't find Moors to do those things. Not that they don't know how to do that. Not that they don't offer that service. I don't want you reporting my activities to the IRS because I work with contractors. I don't feel like drafting a 1099, but because of the way you're set up, I would have to. So I'll just do it myself, or, if you can't find the people, make the people type of thing. And hopefully, so far it's working. At least one more has come back, reported back. All right. And let me know that his stuff is incorporated. And I love the first one that incorporated, Brother Jay. I think it was Jay Bay. So he incorporated in Delaware, and he sent me his incorporation paperwork. Not like, ooh, corporation. Oh, I'm down with the colonists. No, I'm down with the bureaucracy that will be nationalized under the name of the Moors as soon as we get our stuff together, not as in the structure. The prophet left the structure. We just need to apply it type of thing, right? So, no, I'm using what I presume is mine. They gonna take it with them when they leave? No, it'll be mine. So anyway, so he sent me his incorporation, his certificate of incorporation, and it said the first state. I'm like, that's pretty cool. So the first one to report back saying that he did, he took this advice and ran with it, and it was the first state. I like it. It's kind of like how you got into it is how you get out of it. So that was the first state, huh? And the first more to report back to me that he incorporated using the 508 toolkit is in that first state. See what I mean? So I guess I could start with the last stitch and unravel it, but this looks like we're gonna start with the first stitch and unravel it. I like that too. All right, so that's all my announcement. Don't forget to visit our shop for fine items such as this enamel Moorish American pin that I am wearing. It's available in shop, made by Moors for Moors. All right. And 20% of all sales go, including this pre-sale book that I should have mentioned, that the book is on pre-sale right now until maybe the end of October. I'll see how it goes. But you better get it while you can because it's reasonable. And depending on how much value people get out of it, that'll determine the value going forward. So you might want to just go on here and get it now, that kind of thing. So weekly news, moving on to the weekly news. So to recap the headlines, freedmen still denied, Crimea Rio, Barack get back, and treason for thee, but not for me. So starting with Muscogee, freedmen denied. All right. So I'm gonna read this off for you. This is news that I pulled offline. I asked ChatGPT, hey, I read this headline or this story of blah, 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 giving it my take. can you go in and it has agent mode on it now. Go in and find some more articles for me and summarize what I just told you, my stuff with what and fact check it for me. Thank you. All right, and here it is. So says Muscogee freedmen still denied tribal admission, aka citizenship. The Muscogee Creek Nation Supreme Court issued a major ruling recognizing that this is an update. Remember, the Muscogee Creek started a case, I think 43, 46 years ago, and just all of a sudden they decided to let the freedmen back into their tribe, right? Did a whole thing on it. So anyway, this is the follow-up on it. The Muscogee Creek Nation Supreme Court issued a major ruling recognizing that descendants of freedmen, those formerly enslaved by members of the tribe, are entitled to full citizenship. This decision overturned the by-blood requirement written into the 1979 Constitution, which had been used to exclude freedmen's descendants for decades. Despite this legal victory, the implementation has been far from immediate. The principal chief has instructed that tribal ID cards should not yet be issued to freedmen's descendants until constitutional revisions are formally made. While applications can technically be filed at this stage, many freedmen families remain in limbo, waiting for recognition and the benefits that come with full tribal citizenship, such as access to healthcare, housing, and cultural participation. The situation underscores the gap that often exists between courtroom victories and lived realities. So they like, yeah, you won, but yeah, we gotta make sure the paperwork is in place, that this trust has been put back the way it was before we changed it to this blood quantum crap, right? And I wonder how long that's gonna take. So they're saying, yeah, you won. We need to go ahead and let you in and issue you cards and all that stuff, recognizing you as full members, yada yada blah blah. But before we can do that, we have to revise put the Constitution back the way it was. It's like just find the original one, dust that mug off, and say hey, this Constitution has been restored. What's there to revise? Just put it back the way it was. But I guess they got to do some other stuff, like maybe figuring out how not to get these mugs some cards, or maybe trying to see, like, maybe we can stay. Maybe we don't have to worry about being deported along with everybody else. Maybe y'all do. So that's that. All right, so new news. This is Cry Me a Rio, right? SCOTUS rules in favor, oh my goodness. SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States, rules in favor of racial profiling, aka Cry Me a Rio. The reason I said Cry Me a Rio, these mugs are like, I can't believe this is happening in this country in 2005 or through 2025. Racial profiling. You're surprised there's such thing as racial profiling in the United States? And I'm just like, have you ever heard of New York City and the 1990s to the 2010s at least? Yeah. Stop and frisk. You never heard those words? That's why I'm like, Cry Me a Rio, because I know who this is for, right? And once again, I put out a video earlier about Moors guarding their senses, how people are looking for our sympathy. Our prayers work, and they know it, right? So as long as they can get our attention on some stuff, some sympathy, some empathy, you get nothing from me, right? Except a bon voyage. That's it. Better be, that's all. Glad that's all I want for you. So anyway, SCOTUS rules in favor of racial profiling, aka Cry Me a Rio. The United States Supreme Court has removed a lower court order that previously barred Immigration and Customs Enforcement from using race, spoken language, or occupation as factors in determining who to stop for questioning. This shift hands ICE broader authority to conduct stops in areas such as Los Angeles, where Spanish speakers and workers in certain industries have already been disproportionately targeted. Civil rights groups have raised alarms, warning that this ruling effectively sanctions expanded racial profiling. And what you mean expanded? Effectively sanctions expanded from what? Racial profiling, and undermines the protections under the Fourth and 14th Amendments. Maybe the fourth, not necessarily the 14th, but whatever. Making the move even more controversial, the court issued the decision through an unsigned order without offering a full explanation on what is often referred to as the shadow docket. This kind of ruling format has been criticized for bypassing the usual process of oral arguments and detailed opinions, making it harder for the public to understand the court's reasoning or hold it accountable. That sounds like a you problem. I think that's all I got to say about that, right? Because we already been through this. The racial profiling for us, we fought for that to not happen, right? Basically for everybody. But since nobody else was out there with us trying to stop this, it only applies to us, I guess. So the rest of y'all, good luck or not. Again, that sounds like a you problem, just like it sounded like a me problem when it was us, right? I don't feel bad for these folks. Y'all shouldn't either, okay? I figure I want my stuff back, right? I'm going to get into that because this presentation is called, it's a series. It's the start of a series I'm calling Inherited Lies. And I got something for everybody. But I'm going to start with the Nation of Islam tonight. Anyway, next. U.S. halts. Thank you to brother Reggie L for sending me this one. U.S. halts third country visas. Did you know this was a thing? I didn't even know this was a thing. This is messed up, okay, and despicable. The U.S. State Department has announced where am I? I don't even know how long I've been on here. Okay, good. I'm doing good. The U.S. State Department has announced a new restriction affecting Indian nationals seeking American visas. Until now, many Indian applicants process their visas in third countries such as Singapore, Thailand, or even parts of Europe to avoid the notoriously long wait times at the U.S. consulates in India. That option has now been eliminated, and Indian nationals will be required to apply only from their home country or country of residence. For thousands of students, skilled workers, and professionals, this policy change is expected to make the process far more complicated, good, expensive, good, and time-consuming. Great. Travel and lodging costs are likely to rise, and the already heavy backlog in Indian consulates could become even worse. Okay, this sounds like something they're doing to themselves. The move reflects a tightening of U.S. immigration policies and signals broader implications for global mobility and workforce planning in technology and business sectors. The U.S. decision to end third world country visas processing for Indian nationals is more than a bureaucratic change. It forces applicants back into an already overwhelmed system in India. Who's overwhelming it? This is a you problem. You're causing a problem and crying about it. Too many of my people are trying to leave. Why don't you address why they're trying to leave like that? Why are so many of your people trying to escape? They're trying to escape to the point where they're trying to escape through other countries into this country. Okay? You applying for a visa in Europe. Why don't you just go to Europe? What you want over here, thief? Anyway, yeah, they are thieves. Call them what they are, so maybe they'll be get uncomfortable and leave. Let's see. It forces them back into an already overwhelmed system that they are overwhelming. They're overwhelming their own system, where wait times can stretch over a year. No, whole year. When you could just stay your butt at home and fix that. Students, tech workers, and families who once relied on faster options in nearby countries now face higher costs, longer delays, uncertainty about their travel and work plans. While the policy is framed as standardizing procedures, the practical effect is to make legal pathways more difficult for one of the largest immigration groups in the U.S. Okay, so you're one of the largest ones in the U.S. because so many of y'all have been coming over here. Somebody said, turn the spigot off. And of course you're complaining. Of course, because you haven't exploited this thing enough. I need to exploit some more. Or not. Somebody, not me, go talk to the pink people that made these decisions. Actually, go talk to Mr. Cash Patel. Any one of yours? Is it the FBI in charge of checking people's background and all that stuff to make sure they can get in the country? And right now, the head of that institution is Mr. Cash Patel. I haven't heard him say boo about this, but I guess he got enough problems trying to explain why he won't release the Epstein stuff. I love it. Hey, you wanted this power. Enjoy. Anyway, all right. So, did I finish that? Okay. So they say it's practical effect is to make the legal pathways more difficult for one of the largest immigrant groups in the U.S., raising questions about fairness, access, and how the immigration policy is being selectively tightened. You're the largest group. Can somebody else be the largest group? But that's right. Even your own people say y'all have no sense of civics in Hindus. That's why I said Bharat did Bach. Because the original name is Bharat and not Bat, but Bach. So yeah, go home. What's the problem? Go home. Right? Or you know what? Since you got to wait a year anyway, why don't you pick some trash up and watch how your home, make your home better. You got a whole year to fix your crap hole home instead of trying to come to my house and then making that a crap hole. Because I don't know if y'all know what the Hindus up there doing in India, or not India, Canada, where they like getting out of pocket to the point where they're being excluded as a group in whole, as a nationality. Like, yeah, we're gonna make an exception. We don't racially profile, but y'all can't come up in here because you make too big of a mess, and you don't clean up after you. First, you make a mess. Why are you making a mess? And then you don't clean up after yourself. Hey, so all right, last one, and then I'm gonna get into inherited lies because this might stretch a little bit, not too much though. So that's that one, and this last one is, where was it? Crime of Rio. I did that. Oh, okay. HR 8. Okay. HR or House Resolution 8445 to amend Title 38, aka treason for thee, but not for me. Okay. House Resolution 8445 has been introduced with the goal of amending Title 38 of the United States Code, which governs veterans' benefits, as well as making adjustments to Service Members' Civil Relief Act. If passed, the measure, check this out. When you hear this, remember how many veterans are currently on the street. All right? Just remember that when I read this, okay? If passed, the measure would extend certain legal protections normally reserved for U.S. service members to the American citizens who serve in the Israeli Defense Force. These protections could include relief from certain financial obligations and access to support benefits similar to what U.S. soldiers receive. The proposal has already generated debate, with some lawmakers and advocates questioning whether the U.S. law should extend benefits to those serving in foreign militaries. You got money to be paying people to go fight in other people's wars, but not money to get these veterans who fought in your wars off the street. Okay? Because my father was a veteran, so I gotta, I don't like that stuff. Anyway. It raises further questions about national loyalty. You think? Dual commitments and the precedent this could set if similar benefits were extended to citizens serving in other nations' armies. Remember? Treason for thee, but not for me, right? If I do this in Greece, it's treason. But if I do it for Israel, it's okay. And you give me benefits like I'm working for the United States. Yeah, Israel got something on this country for real. Wow, they got something big on this country. Let's see. For the people who making these crazy laws, trying to pass these laws. The proposed amendment to Title 38 under House Resolution 8445 could be viewed as treasonous because it extends U.S. veterans protections to American citizens serving in the Israeli Defense Force, Offense Force. The Constitution defines treason as waging war against the U.S. or giving aid and comfort to its enemies. While serving in a foreign military isn't automatically treason, offering U.S. benefits to those in another nation's army risks being seen as material support to a foreign power. Critics argue this blurs the line of loyalty, since benefits meant for defending the United States would instead be directed to the service of another country. If that nation's interests conflicted with America's, those citizens could oppose the U.S. while still shielded by U.S. protections, a situation some view as approaching the constitutional definition of treason. And then, as an FYI, other countries' militaries, because I'm like, does any other country, can U.S. citizens serve in the military of any country, any other countries besides the United States? Because that sounds like treason. You're serving in another country's military. But let me ask, and it is said, other countries' militaries that U.S. citizens are permitted to serve in, check this list out, with some restrictions, but none of the benefits being proposed for Israel include, in addition to Israel, Canada, the UK, France via the Foreign Legion, Australia, and New Zealand. Do you spot a pattern. Let me read the list where U.S. citizens are allowed to serve in these countries' militaries only. You serve in any other military, and you can hemmed up for treason. So the only ones they're allowed to serve in are Israel, Canada, the UK, France, via the Foreign Legion, Australia, and New Zealand. What do all those places have in common? They either are colonies or established colonies. So that's okay. But you do it for anybody else. Like, oh, I'm Italian. I'm going to go serve in the Italian military, hung by the neck till dead. So that takes me to inherited lies, because this was a perfect example, right? That whole situation with them trying to give, if you go and serve in the military of Israel, the United States will take care of you the way they would if you were serving in the United States military. That's what they're saying. That should show you how fraud this stuff is, right? And that brings me to the inherited lies part, because that's definitely exposing who would do that, right? Can you imagine a Chinese person being okay with them going to serve in the Korean? Chinese, hey, you want to go serve in the North Korean army? Neither side's like, the North Koreans gonna be looking at you funny, and when you come home, the Chinese gonna be looking at you funny. But I guess that's the case everywhere where that country is populated by those people. I keep bringing it up how disgusted Moors should be that the United States is the third most populous country in the world after India and China. We're number 3, and it's full of foreigners. You should be outraged. I'm going to keep bringing that up. You should be outraged that there's, right? And that's leading me into the inherited lies for next week, right? Where I'm going to cover a fiat aristocracy. So anyway, the inherited lie, I caught this today or this week. I'm going to try to run through this because, I got like 3 minutes. So this relates to social media, right? Because we all on social, most of us on social media. And I came across a post where this brother was going in on the Nation of Islam, like going in, and not very kindly. It was kind of over the top, right? And he was just like, what Farrakhan ever do? What did Fard Muhammad ever do, right? What did Elijah Muhammad ever do? And I commented, like, well, since you asked, they stole the whole entire blueprint of the Nation of Islam. I think I brought this up with you all before. How I was raised, Nation of Islam. My parents, they didn't meet in there, but they got married in the Nation of Islam. My sister and I were born into the Nation of Islam and grew up in the Nation of Islam for all our life, right? Actually, until Farrakhan took over in a hostile, he did a hostile takeover of the mosque we were in. We were members of Muslim Mosque number 2, the one there's the big giant one in Chicago, right? So anyway, I just said, they just stole the whole and entire program of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And the fact that I grew up in that mosque, of all mosques, I grew up in that one. I was there every single Friday, in addition to like going up there because my parents had meetings. I went to school at Clara Muhammad when it was called Clara Muhammad. All right. I went there for a little while, that kind of thing. So I was kind of in that culture, and this was at its height. And the stuff that you see if you're a quiet child and nobody tells you to leave the room because they don't know you're there because you're a quiet child. So anyway, an unripe fruit of Islam. He was quite young, right? He said, you can't prove anything you say. Oh no, he said, where's your proof of what you say? Well, my thing is, I don't know you from a can of paint, so I'm not sure what makes you think I owe you anything, even the time of day, right? But since you asked, and since you were so uncordial, I'm gonna give it right back to you, but I'm gonna be informative with it. So I broke it down to him. Like, first, let's start with the founders. Okay, did you know that Fard Muhammad? Yes, Fard. Growing up in the NOI in Muslim Mosque number 2, I was born in 1977. I was there at the height. All right, the children, the little X's. That's what we called him. We got in so. I just remember it always getting in trouble every time they would be up on the podium and somebody would say his name. The great, Fard Muhammad. We just started laughing because it sounds like fart. And then we in our little children's group, his name was Fart. Okay, because he don't deserve no respect. You mean he came down here, did all this stuff, nobody even knows his real name, and then he set this wonderful thing up and just disappeared. And then you grow up, learn what happened, and find out what really happened to Fart, right? Anyway, so I'm like, yeah, they stole the whole program. And if you don't believe me, there's actual photos, multiple photos of Fard Muhammad in the presence of Prophet Drew Ali wearing a fez, right? And there's Elijah Poole Bay is like all over Moorish literature, that kind of thing. If you actually look through the newspapers that the Prophet was brilliant enough to publish, right? And if you actually go and look them up and look in them, that kind of thing. And then I'm like, well, I'm on the road now. Because I asked him, did you never notice, why is it that Elijah Poole Bay and Fard Muhammad were able, see, when they started the Holy Temple of Islam or whatever they had, right? Whatever they had going on, and how quickly their numbers grew. And y'all never asked why. I used to ask that when I was little, like, wait, you started in like 1930 something, and then by like 32, 33, you had thousands. I know it was Chicago. I get it. But you mean to tell me y'all were able to convince all these Christians to become Muslims that fast? Ain't nobody that good. Nobody's that good. And then fast forward, I found out what really happened. And so I'm like, yeah, y'all never questioned that, because I was questioning it the whole time. Like, this don't sound right. I'm looking at Garvey. He was amazing orator. What's his name? I'm gonna go with district. I know, don't be engaging in religious controversy. This ain't religious controversy. This is witness facts and all the stuff that I had to listen to and be indoctrinated with growing up. So, okay, I'm looking at how long it took Marcus Garvey, with that charisma he had, that passion he had, how he was a big old lion. He was the epitome of a Leo, right? Compared to Mumble Mouth, known as Elijah Muhammad. That dude, that's why he had to put Malcolm X up, because then nobody want to hear him. They respect him. They like the teachings. But when did the mosque really blow up? When they got their what's his name? Marcus, not what's his name. When they got their Garvey, aka so-called Malcolm X. Because when nobody trying to hear. If you notice, he always had front men, because then nobody want to hear him, right? I had to listen to his stuff all the time, because my father used to have it playing on video, on cassette tapes in the house. You know how parents just leave stuff on loop? Yeah, so I got that stuff in my head. And then I'm like, okay, since I'm on the road, let's continue on with Farrakhan, right? I remember this happening because I was there when it happened, like at the same mosque when he came back and told us himself what had happened, right? And then fast forward and get a hold of the Moorish history and confirmed it and found some other facts that he conveniently left out. So I asked him, like, you look a little too young to know about this, but you can go dig in your archives or just Google it. See if you can find any news about Farrakhan going to Libya, right? And see what they tell you. I bet you they don't tell you how the United States tried to, they yanked his passport so he couldn't get back, which was supposed to give them time to revoke his citizenship for treason, for going over there and making deals with an enemy power, right? What is that? There's a law against this, trading with the enemy's act, right? That kind of thing. And so he couldn't get back because he had gone over there to pick up a check from Gaddafi, who wanted to invest in Islamic businesses in the Black community in the United States. What a great way to start a problem in the United States. So he's like, yeah, I'll pay for that. And I remember when he left, because I remember that all the adults were talking about it, like, we going down to the airport, we're going to see him off and all that stuff. I remember it clearly, right? And then so he gets back. And he just says, yeah, some good brothers from the city, they helped me get back. Yeah, the white man thought he had me, but they had him, right? I'm just like, okay, what is that? I'm like 8, 9 years old when this happened. Like, okay, whatever. Fast forward about 30 years, come to find out those good brothers he didn't go into detail with, right? And I'm just like, maybe they were in the crowd. I didn't see them. Turns out the Moorish Science Temple sent him a nationality card and they had to let him back in. And then like, did you know any of this? And if you don't believe me with that, you can find proof that he went over there to get some money from Gaddafi. What happened to that check? All right. Because everything that was there before he got that check is all that's still there now. I'm just saying, because Gaddafi was trying to set up gold bars. What happened to that check? Anyway, and so, yeah, that's the inherited lie. Oh, his response, I must be crazy. That's it. I must be crazy. 4 words. I don't deal with that. Yup. Can't handle it. But that's cool. Hopefully I planted a seed. Don't believe me. I told him, please don't believe me, right? Because I'm sure that your people have been teaching you, don't be listening to folks. And I'm telling you, no, only believe them. And I'm telling you, don't believe me. Go do your own research. But let me guess, if they're anything the way they were when I was coming up in there, don't be listening to outside stuff. You can do your own research, but make sure you stay within our libraries and our list. So it's kind of like a long chain, but is it not still a chain? All right. So this is not to start or besmirch the NOI because, like I said, they stole, or he stole, not the NOI. I'm going to give this credit to Elijah Muhammad and the apparition known as Fard Muhammad, WD Fard, whatever you want to call him. Because all growing up, it was like I was constantly hearing it was like black folks. It's like every 3 months he got a new name, right? It was crazy. It was so confusing. And nobody know what happened to him. He just disappeared, right? Give me a break. I know what happened to him. Supposedly, come to find out, I got to find the paperwork for it. But yeah, Mr. Elijah sent his savior on a mission to Detroit or something. He sent them somewhere. And I'm like, oh boy, this is sounding like the story with David and what's his name? Uriah? Was it Uriah? Bathsheba's husband? I'm going to send you on a mission with this note. Don't open it. Just give it to the guy at the end of the mission. And nobody ever heard from him again. You can look that up. He went on a mission and never returned. But I'm just like, how does the apostle send the prophet on the mission? Because that's the story. Elijah Muhammad sent him on the mission and he never came back. Anyway, so yeah, but this is not to throw dirt on the NOI because it's like the Mormons. I'm not going to throw dirt on the Mormons either, even though they do some stuff that I don't appreciate, because you have, everybody really does, but you all have a very large portion of our history and our culture. And I can testify to the Moors that the NOI is exactly how we're supposed to be acting. All right. I don't remember my mother buying our clothes. The only thing we would ever buy was like coats and boots. She made everything else because doesn't the MGT, they got an MGT, Muslim girls training, or they call it Muslims girls training. Okay. So how come I have a Muslim girls training guide, right? That is word for word the exact same instructions that are inside the Muslim girls training guide. This is from 1927, 28, but the NOI didn't start till the 30s. So how did this end up at the nation with the Moorish Science Temple? Something to consider. But this is not throwing dirt on the Nation of Islam because y'all just missing the nation part. Think about it. That is I'm telling y'all, haven't been in the Moorish Science Temple since 2008, myself, right? After being in the Nation of Islam up until that point, for what, 33 years? 31 years. So I found out about it when I was 31. Found out about the Moors when I was 31, even though I was from Chicago. Didn't hear about the Moors until I got to Georgia at 31. So anyway, I would love to come together. They just missing the nation part. That's it. And if they are anything like me, once they get that part, they won't have to do anything else. That's it. Just stop calling yourself black. So if you're a Nation of Islam, right, this is not saying stop doing what you're doing, except that one part. Stop calling yourself black. You are not the Asiatic black man. He messed that up. In our Quran, I wish I had a copy of it. I can't believe I don't have a copy right within hand reach. Anyway, in our Quran, it says the Asiatic Moors, or just the Asiatics, period. Just the Asiatics, as in planetary. Why you got to be a black man? Can't you just be Asiatic? But it's funny how we had that in our book first, right? Does the Nation of Islam even have its own book? Except for the MGT, I don't think they do. I have to look that up. I'm trying to think. I don't think they have their own book. They just use the Quran with the Q. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so that's two things you got to change or adjust. You don't have to give up the Quran because Moorish science encompasses, respects all, right? We're the center of the spoke, and like I think it's in Buddhism, how we're all it's the truth in just various ways to get to that. That's Moorish science. Okay. So I love it. We're not restricted to one practice. We can do everything, right? Not trying to incorporate or make nothing new, respecting them for what they are and appreciating them for what they are individually. And then finding how that can build me into a better person. Is that not Islam, right? And we say Islam, not Assalamu alaikum. You can keep that. It's so funny how people think they got to give something up, especially I'm just talking to the Nation of Islam right now. Keep everything, keep praying, keep practicing Arabic, keep reading the Quran with a Q, but add in, I'm not black, I'm a Moor, which I can actually tie to history that has to be respected. And we have our own book that actually breaks down who we are and only applies to us. Okay. It was brought to us. Aren't you ready to have something just for you? That's 40 minutes. Thank you, Moors. And I'm glad I did do this live. It didn't cut off. I hope it recorded. It looked like it's recording. So I might have to do this from now on. So then I can just be done on Fridays. I don't have to come back and post this later. So yeah, that's all I got. Thank you all for being here. And those who will see this later, make sure you visit califamedia.com. Get your book, certifiedmoorish.org. Learn about the book. I got a question, answers, all kind of stuff. Get your business going. Handle your business, right? Thank you to King Tura Bay L. Thank you, King Tura, for giving me that tagline. Handle your business. Because the first line of defense, get control of the women. Got one, right? And once you get control of the women, get control of the money. That kind of thing. And with that, I'm out. Y'all be cool. And I will see you Tuesday. Same time, same place. Peace and love. Have a great weekend. Make your meetings. And I'll check y'all later. Bye-bye. Y'all, that was fun. And now, thank y'all for being here. Appreciate that.